It's the show that made me quit modeling because it was such a toxic environment. And it's the reason sometimes I cry on camera when someone tells me I can't do something.
Oh no!
Hi guys, welcome back to Moment of Silence Pod. I'm Sakshi Shivdasani.
I'm Nana Bhan.
And
Today, before we get into the episode, I want to start with popcorn.
okay, what's your popcorn?
My popcorn is that fuck, I had a flopcorn.
Even I had a flopcorn.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you first.
My flopcorn is that today, sitting with us in this room is a dear employee of ours who is leaving, and it is her last day in our presence.
Yeah.
So
But shoot your shot.
sure.
Yeah.
But we wish Ria the best time, have an amazing time in Bangalore, in France, and hire us one
And
day.
wherever life takes you, we're there. In spirit.
Flopcorn?
I have a popcorn.
Huh.
Well, I'm going on a beach trip next week and I ordered a skimpy Zara bikini. And if you know Zara bikinis, no coverage. Okay, one lip is always on the verge of hanging out, raw dogging the world. But I actually looked hot.
She looked very hot. It's
Yeah.
this very, very hot, like, bikini with cherries on it. And if that
It's
isn't
hearts.
girl, it's cherries or
It's
heart?
hearts. I love heart. Heart-shaped jewelry is so tacky, but I only wear heart-shaped jewelry.
Okay, cherries or hearts, girls look really cute in those kinds of bikinis.
Yeah.
Last night, I sat and watched all of Supermodel of the Year as research for today's episode. And was it a journey? Yes. And I saw this girl on the screen, this 22-year-old Sakshi.
22-year-old.
And I just wanted to give her a hug, and nothing has brought out like maternal instinct in me harder than watching a young Sakshi face the camera for the first time.
And actually it was my first ever experience on camera, and I wanted to do a deep dive into it, but also it's like at this point for almost all the people hosting the show and me, it would be punching down. And I know that sounds very egotistical, but that's the main reason I don't talk about it, because it's like, how can I punch down so hard? But that being said, it's the show that put me in therapy. It's the show that made me quit modeling because it was such a toxic environment. And it's the reason sometimes I cry on camera when someone tells me I can't do something.
Oh no! Wait, how did you get into the show?
Okay.
Tell me everything.
So basically, these people were scouting through DMs and they said, this is not a reality show, it's a modeling show where we train you guys. And my sister used to work at Viacom 18, which is MTV's parent company at the time. And she told me, I think they're trying to do not India's Next Top Model, which they weren't trying to do. They wanted to do Supermodel of the Year, and they said multiple times, oh, it's not an elimination thing, it's not a reality show, it's genuinely to show modeling. And I would never have done a reality show. But only after we reached on set for the 2 weeks or whatever, and maybe I was naive, I was 22. And then I was like, okay, fuck, this is a reality show. And I'd already signed the contract, and okay, so you don't make money for MTV reality shows. You get paid in exposure. But I was like, okay, fine, I've already signed it. And it's also a very leechy contract because it's like 10, 20-year-old girls, and you sign this contract, you get like 5 minutes to sign it. No one is signed with an agency because you're only doing that in the beginning of your career, right? And you're hoping that you'll get followers or people will like you. And okay, fine, that is a good head start. It worked for Ranvijay, it didn't work for me. So we're at the same events. But yeah, so there's a 3 crore clause for like leaving.
Oh.
Midway. Otherwise, I would have left on the first day.
Okay, you know what? Let's start at the top. One, I think that reality shows and watching that entire journey is a very interesting way to look at life itself. Two, reality shows are a really good way of seeing how you can be exploited in the guise of something being
Good.
potentially like blowing up your career. To speak to the fact that there was a 3 crore clause that you couldn't leave. After how long did you guys shoot for? 2 weeks?
We shot for 2 weeks.
Okay. After 2 weeks, the winner was supposed to get 5 lakh rupees.
Excuse me, 5 lakh rupees and your face is on a live-on bottle. Please, that pays for itself.
I have one question. There was one girl on the show, Renu.
Renee. Yeah, Renu.
Yeah. And she had dreads.
Yeah.
So-
No, that was Drishya.
Okay, Drishya had dreads. So if Drishya won, Live On was ready to put a girl with dreads on their
Well,
serum bottle.
sweetie, you only watched till I got
Yeah, that's true. I
eliminated.
did.
They made her cut her hair
What do you
as part of the
say?
big makeover.
So she cut off her dreads.
She cut off her dreads and it took like 2 days and then it was hectic because you do the piece to camera thing after. So then they just made her wear a stupid scarf.
So they shaved her head.
She had a boy cut, a pixie cut.
I'm with the times.
I'm a cool mom.
I don't gender
Yeah,
short hair.
6 years ago though. Yeah, so they cut her hair.
Also, this show had the most convoluted reality show system, and the only thing I could think of while this whole thing was happening was somebody had to create this show before ChatGPT. Bro, there's something known as a Malla's super secret score, which a human being came up with, and a boardroom of people approved, which is Malaika's super secret scoring.
In case the name didn't give it away, yeah.
The show is like this, okay? These 10 girls are going to be in the running for Supermodel of the Year. Every day there's an audition task, and if you win the audition task, you get to screw yourself harder in the main task.
Yes.
And everybody who sucks at the audition task gets to sit back and chill.
And I have chilled so much in the 1
so
week
much.
that I was there.
Then you go to the judges panel and you get marked on a scoreboard like Nachbaliye. You get marks for your ability during this entire thing out of 5. Okay?
Yeah.
And at the end, this is where the 3 crore clause worked overtime. There are no eliminations.
There are no elimination. I swear the first task ke baad I was like, time to go home. This has been great. Fuck it. Not interested. And then they shock me and they're like, for the first 5 episodes, there's no eliminations. And I'm in my personal hell, okay? So I understand that a lot of people do work for exposure and they've moved to Bombay and it's make or break for them. Otherwise, they have to go back to their hometown. I did not come from that background. I had a house waiting for me.
She was crossing her house every day to go to location.
Yeah, from Mud Island we were staying and we were 4 girls sharing one room each and one bathroom each. We're all sleeping for 4 hours because what they show as 1 week is actually just 1 day. So it's like week 4 but it's actually just 4 days in. So you're sleep deprived, you're traveling to set, they gave us food, darzi food, but also it's not enough. You can't portion my food, but I realized that all of this, and I've spoken to other reality TV people, and they're like, it's to show how you would react when you're irritable, hungry, sleepy, and that's how they get the drama out of you. So you'll be looking at a reality show and you'll be like, there's no way they were fighting over roti. But that's the first roti you've seen in 24 hours. No shit, I'll kill a bitch for a roti. I don't even like roti. I'm more of a paratha gal myself.
Yeah, I don't think reality shows age very well.
Yeah.
This one definitely didn't age well.
No.
Which is shocking because it's not that old. It's like 2021.
Yeah, it's 6 years ago. Right before COVID is when we shot and it came out during COVID. And yeah, it pivoted my career. And then by the time it came out, I was already making content. And people were like, is it this girl? And I made in exposure, I'll tell you, the most anyone made was 100k followers, but she's not doing anything now. So it can give you the initial boost, but it really can't give you more than that. I got a whopping 2,000 followers from this show and 2,000 rupees a week in therapy bills.
Okay, let's break it down episode by episode,
Let's do
okay?
it.
Episode 1, this isn't even episode 1, it's the pre-episode. The pre-episode, okay, the footage starts very shaky. It's like zooming in,
She's
going
watched
on. Yeah, I've watched the shit out, okay?
haven't.
We're like, enter Viacom office, everyone, there's like a lot of chaos happening because they're trying to find the best of the best girls from all over India, okay? The hosts and the judges are Masaba, Malaika, Ujjwala, who's a like a
And
supermodel.
one other one.
And
No,
Milind
two
Soman
more.
and Anusha
Yeah.
Dandekar.
Anusha was a host, I
Host.
think. And Ujjwala was a judge come host.
She was a mentor.
Mentor,
Yeah.
sorry.
Check yourself.
Apologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they've picked these girls, and then I'll give MTV props for trying to make it as artistically viable as possible, because suddenly we're on a ramp and there's like a live band performing.
Raja Kumari was
Raja
performing.
Kumari was performing, and these girls are walking down the runway. Sakshi's first look is very interesting. It's
I don't remember it.
I have it on my phone actually.
Oh no, that's fine. Insert it somewhere here.
Yeah, okay, looks like this. It's this like black gown with
Right.
the silver paneling, and your hair is opposite
So,
angle to the paneling.
Daniel Bauer
Yeah.
did my hair, and it took 4 hours. Like, they just kept saying, I'm not happy with it, I'm not happy with it. And I think making someone sit in a chair for 4 hours because you have a look you want to execute, but you're getting, even the stylists doing it were unpaid, right?
Yeah.
They were also like getting exposure out of this. So it was like my hair was fucked from day one on
Yeah.
that shoot. So we had to do the rehearsals or whatever, and Ujjwala, to her credit, is a very successful model.
Yeah.
So she showed us how to walk and everything, and then they just said, let Raja Kumari sing, and then you'll come down the staircase for the first time, and then just walk, and you're supposed to be fine with it. Crazy.
But I have to say, Sakshi, from the get-go, like the minute the frame comes on her, I don't know if this is bias, I don't think it is, but like there's just so much life in this little girl now that I can say. And she's like, she comes in, she like grooves like a Victoria's Secret model with like...
I was hot.
yeah, fully hot. She's doing this full walk, she's smizing. It was so interesting to watch.
Yeah. And then they just ruined my day.
Why?
Because so you do the walk,
Yeah.
and then all the girls get introduced one by one.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing my Shein quad set faux leather with like heels and everything. And they had asked me for like, oh, what do you do? And this was in the audition process. And I have hobbies. Bro, fuck a girl for having hobbies. Okay? Literally. So I did judo, I did kickboxing, I did like, I had done a little bit of comedy here and there. I never said stand-up comedy, but like whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, when do you have time for modeling? And I was like, this was not the brief, first of all, because they said you don't have to have experience in modeling. And I was one of the people that didn't have experience in modeling. So sorry, I look like a model. Fully joking. But I'm not. But it's like, whatever, it was for their edit and everything. And you know, your girl may be a sucky model, but I have brains. So I realized that my eyes started smarting as soon as this happened. But I was like, I'm not
What
gonna-
happened?
As soon as they like insulted me,
Yeah.
and what it was like half an hour, which they cut short, but like for half an hour they were just like, you know, you don't need so many hobbies. When do you work? Oh, maybe your dad is rich, so you don't have to work. And they're just going hard at me. And I'm like, no one has spoken to me like this, because people don't talk to people like this. But whatever, I was like, it's for their TRP. So I sat down and I was like, fuck it, it's time. I can't hold back my tears. But a bitch ain't gonna give free footage, and that is my motto. So I cried, slapping the camera, the mic like this. So they couldn't use any of the footage. And every time I had to say something mean, because I was really pissed with a few of the judges, like Milind Soman, all of these people. So every time I was saying something mean about them, I would just slap my mic and say,
That's so smart.
completely unusable footage. And that is the reason like at one point the producer came up to me and said, stop that. I was like, no, you pay me.
Is this something you pick up in Bombay? Because I would not have known this
I
trick.
figured they can't use corrupted audio, because a couple of times they told me not to touch anything here. So I was like, okay.
Something they give you to this day as a note on this very
Really?
podcast.
Yeah. So then I was like, fine, whatever. Like, so I used to do that. So I was crying, and then they used my crying footage when someone was giving a sob story about someone of their own life, which, why would you give up your sob story for free?
I want to come to this.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, there are a few things here. Number one, okay, reality shows don't age well. Things were a little more lax back in the day. People are a lot more ready to call bad behavior out today. So I'll give everyone the benefit of the doubt there. But in no shape or form, in no world, is it nice for like a bunch of adults to heckle and roast like young women or young men. You're 18 or 19 years old. There's constructive feedback. I can also understand if like the show is telling you, oh, you need to give us some TRP, so the judges are being asked to say some shit. But they were straight roasting and being rude.
Yeah, and I feel like it was very like there is a power dynamic now going back, now that not even age wise, like I feel like a lot of people we work with are the same age. I would simply not say any of those things to someone who's like starting out just because of a power dynamic. And then these like women that are like 15 years older than me, 10 years older than me, coming up to me and saying these things, I thought it was just bully behavior. And I think with a couple of them, like what was on camera was fine. I didn't really care. I think my reaction, which or lack thereof, was because a certain host would come up to me off camera and just make snide comments about my life and fuck off. And I was like, so sorry, who allowed her to speak to me like this? But then she would just be like, you know, some of us have had to work very hard for what we have. Our father is not rich. We're not from South Bombay. And I was like, I'm from Versova. Like,
I have full respect to all the girls who held their ground.
100%.
They really held their ground, because this is one of those things where, you know, you can say, okay, I gave my consent for a show, where
Yeah.
again they've twisted like what you're exactly giving consent for. But in the guise of consent, you're making people do some really fucked up shit.
bro, let me tell you about that. So the first task, if y'all have watched the show, is you zipline in a chair with a laptop and you get like 3 shots to take photos. It was somewhere in Powai in an under construction building. And when I say you zip line, it wasn't a properly constructed zip line. It was a spot dada holding a rope and just running back and forth. Now, and you're not locked in or anything. If the spot dada gets tired, if he trips, you're all the way down. Ujjwala refused to do that task because she's making too much money. But we had to do it because we didn't have a choice, or like my dad can't afford to bail me out of 3 crore rupees. So I just had to do that shit. And I was like, no shit, I was scared for my life. And if I would never have auditioned for that fucking shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, so then, and then the safety concerns were horrible. At one point, we were on this task. Also, the only reason we're doing this episode is because there's some like Instagram page refurbishing shots of this. But there was this one task where we had to do like an ad shoot and we had to jump from one container to the other. And again, your harness, but some like guys manually controlling the harness. I don't trust people like that with my life. And Anusha, without getting the go ahead, was like jump off. And no one was holding it. So then there's a shot of me hitting it because she never coordinated with anyone. And I'm like, that is fucked up, right? Like maybe it was a mistake on her part, but I'm inclined to believe that it was. No, I'm joking.
No, I'm just wondering why every task for like this supermodel show involved people like scaling heights. Like the first task was literally an under construction building. There's a rassi tied to a chair and these girls are made to rappel down.
Sick.
Third task is this one where there are 2 shipping containers and the task makes no sense. Okay, is it an ad task? Is it a still task? Because this is what they have to do. It's for a zesty energy drink. Okay, that's the brief. All the girls have to. The ad starts where they have to say, "Spot dada, mera energy drink dena," and then they take a sip. Okay, and
PTSD.
they have to run across a container, leap in the air, take a still shot for like a photographer down below, jump off on the other side. Some AD's been made to sit on a chair and then they have to say, "Director, did you get the shot?" And he says, "Yes." got the shot. Now, is this an ad? Is this a
It's a
still campaign?
humiliation ritual is what it is.
The humiliation ritual isn't even that. It's the fucking costume. What the
Bro,
fuck were you guys wearing?
Why were we wearing tutus with like a black body? So, like, who looks good in this?
You have to see the stills. Let's try and insert them here. It's meme worthy. It's so ridiculous.
It's so horrible. Like literally, you know, when the reels were doing the rounds last week, I was like, fuck it, let it happen. And then this one came out, the like of me jumping in that yellow fucking tutu. I have called my manager and I was like, kill this shit right now. This is horrible. How can they be profiting on like? And then they were like, we can't kill a public access reel. And I was like, please, just stop this. Like, send them a notice. Do whatever you want. I don't want to see this shit. But, you
It didn't
know,
happen.
such is life. Yeah, but that one was like a weird one. And then there was one where you had to walk underwater. And that also, my big thing is, there was a brand whose bikinis we were wearing or swimsuits we were wearing. In all the promos for that episode, all the angles are just my 22-year-old ass or lack thereof. But why would you shoot it from that fucking angle? It's so predatory, it's so weird, it's so creepy. And you know, the production house, I've refused to work with them after this because it was so exploitative. But it's just that you have 10, 20-year-olds there. You're not taking Ujjwala like that. You're not taking Anusha like that. Why the fuck is my ass on MTV? Like, it makes no fucking sense. It's so weird. But whatever. I'm a swimmer. I won that task. And also, I wasn't wearing lenses. So there's this angle where Anusha heckles me. And apparently, I give her a damn dirty look. Again, I couldn't see. I have a -7 number and they made me take my lenses off. So I couldn't see. So then it was like, oh, Sakshi and Anusha have beef. And I was like, bro, I'm just trying to fucking see. Can I look? But yeah.
The one task that I found mortifying as an intimacy coordinator, okay, what's happening is that they are shooting this cover shot. It's with Milind, Ujjwala, and whichever girl won the audition task. Sakshi was the one who won this underwater ramp walk task. So she's in this task set, okay? Now, this is super manipulative and it is soft coercion and it is such a violation of consent. And every girl has said it in whatever verbal, non-verbal way that they are deeply uncomfortable with what is happening. What is happening is that there is a rotating platform and there's a piano on top of it. And Ujjwala and Milind are meant to have great chemistry and the girls have to come and find their way into the frame. Now, within this chemistry, okay, maybe they've worked together for a long time and they've debriefed each other that we're going to make it very difficult for the girls. But they straight up start like kind of like
Groping each
other. Sorry, I don't know a better way to say it. Like, yeah.
But it was what it was happening.
Yeah, it was like there was a little bit of like straddling, there was groping, there was like a lot of really intimate like caresses.
And okay, they're okay with doing that with each other. Don't involve.
If the girls have to be involved, number one, please take their consent to be part of something like this. And not everybody, number one, comes from like a family where their parents might be comfortable with intimacy. They might not be comfortable with intimacy. They might have had like triggering history with intimacy where you're shoving like a 20-year-old girl with like
established supermodels. Also, so there's some backstory before the task also. We were all dressed in demi by Gabriella for that. And Anusha wanted my outfit or something like that. So they made me change last minute and it was a completely backless number. And I just wasn't comfortable in my outfit. But I didn't have any time. It was like a lot of like you said, soft coercion.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, oh, why is she not comfortable? I'm not a physical touch person. I'm not going to get in the middle of Milind Soman and Ujjwala Raut and their chemistry because so much touch, I'm not okay with that. And a lot of the girls are just generally like firstly having 10 minutes to do this without, like, you just go in, there's a timer, someone's clicking you and then you fuck off. That's not how things happen on a real set. That is a HR violation, if anything.
if you were on a real set as a real model and there was this kind of shoot happening, you would be asked, your management would be asked, you would be able to, yeah, you would be given prior like warning and full briefing that this is happening. Now the weird thing is that, and I think like people need to really watch out for this, because a lot of people come from all backgrounds and they think this is their one shot to make it, and they get coerced into doing things that they don't really want to do in a weird power dynamic. As a woman, if I see women around me who I look to for safety, like I look for social safety cues to the women around me. Women my age, yes. Women older than me, even more, because the whole social understanding of how the world works is that the women around you are meant to make you feel safe. But the women around you are heckling you into trying to do this task that's making you really uncomfortable. The women are heckling you to be like, oh, why are you looking so uncomfortable? Why is she looking so stressed? Stop being a statue, you know, or
Yeah.
something like that. That's really, really messed up. Somebody on that set, whether it was a host or anybody, needed to get up and say something.
I fully agree, and in fact, there was a task that never made it on.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing where, like, as soon as something would go wrong, it would be like, why don't you stand up for yourself? And it's like, okay, me in this exploitative contract, surrounded by people much older than me, much more established than me, if not older. I'm supposed to stand up for myself in this dirty place where, like, you are getting paid. You can see that this is happening. You've been in this position. How about be a girl's girl is all I ask, you know?
After, like, when you guys weren't rolling, okay, no one can, let's even go to the point where you're like, you don't know what makes it to the edit.
Yeah.
Even the judges and hosts and stuff are not complicit in what makes it to the edit.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of checking off screen? Were they being nice?
So, no, because as soon as you would start crying, somehow there would be a camera rolling. So then I just had to say some outrageous shit that would never make it to the edit, because but like, as in the vanity van you cry, suddenly there's a camera. In the house that you're staying in your bedrooms, not in the bedrooms, in the common spaces, there's CCTV cameras. So you never have a moment where you can just like I would have to go where the production was sitting to just like debrief. You're always mic'd. You're not allowed to switch off your mic. You don't have, like, as soon as they hear anything, like, if I said something about anyone off camera, or if I just said I'm missing my father or anything, the moment you're on set, the first question the host will ask you, I heard you're missing your father. Like, fuck off. It's not your business, you know? Like, stop listening so hard. And I think the production house is notorious for this, where, like, in fact, the producer at one point came up to me, and I've said this before. She was like, are you going to give me any TRP? Are you going to give me any emotions? Or do I have to slap you to get it out of you? And this was like the day I got eliminated, and it was like one task had gone horribly wrong. I'll just say it now. So basically, they wanted to do a puppy fashion show. So there were these like 4-week-old puppies, and we had to walk with them on the ramp. 10 girls who have no experience handling pets. Okay, and this was the main thing that I didn't want to say, because it's so fucking heartbreaking. We were just shoved a puppy in our hand, this like real living being shoved a puppy in our hand in these like tight outfits, and we were like, we don't want to do this, and they were like, you don't have a choice. So we would walk on the ramp, and then by the time we came back, one of the puppies was literally, we had to like unbutton all his things because he was actively choking on the outfit. So, and then we were like, this is really fucked up, and everyone's mood was really off, because that was by far the most exploitative thing we had to do, and we felt complicit. So we were like, this is horrible. I'm feeling like a horrible human. And then Anusha comes backstage, and she was like, y'all have no morals for doing this. Why didn't y'all stand up? And I was like, it's not my set. Do you know what's happening? I'm in a fucking horror. And we had said multiple times to the people around us, off camera people, we don't want to do this. Now, if your set is like doing all of this, what the fuck am I as like a powerless person supposed to do? Yes, looking back, I could have just refused and done something, but you're in a weird position at that point. So then they were like, okay, for our image, we can't post this task, which is when let's talk about your worst insecurities or like whatever task happened as a backup.
That task was fucked up.
Yeah, and that was our backup task because we almost fucking were involved in animal abuse.
I would like to set the premise of what has happened. All the girls are asked to journal and write down an insecurity or a vulnerability. Now, this journaling will then get turned into like a 30-second ad clip or something like that, like a mood piece, and then you get, it's shot in black and white, so it's very empathetic, and then you get like these really nice still shoots with it that are again supposed to be like vulnerable and this and that. And then, by the way, all of these girls, this task is supposed to be a task that's done, because after this task you will be eliminated if you're not high up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I was so ready. I was so ready.
The girls have spoken about essay. The girls have spoken about DV. The girls have spoken about racism. Alcoholism. Okay, and what are you going to do after that? You're not going to give them 5 on 5. And how do you rate? Like, Sakshi said, okay, I'm just a confused youth. Now you're going to say, oh, she wasn't DV'd, so we can't give her 5 on 5 marks and she didn't put herself on the line.
So, basically, I was talking to another contestant about my home life, and everybody has problems, guys. Like, just because I'm not going to sit and monetize my problems doesn't mean they don't exist. They found out things about my life because I was talking to a contestant, and they were like, you need to talk about this. And I said, no, I'm not going to talk about this. Fuck off. And which is when the producer told me she'll slap me if I don't give her any TRP, and I said I'll slap her back. I was eliminated that night. That's besides the point. But that's why I gave them a very like non-vulnerable thing, and I told them, I was like, the day the paycheck comes in, maybe I'll try to monetize my vulnerabilities. Today is not that day. So I knew what I was doing. I knew I was going to get out. I was like, I'm not giving them my fucking life story for them to sit and judge. Now, some of the girls did it, and it was a good outlet for them or whatever. But how can, like, for example, a lot of girls spoke about how they were dark-skinned and they were bullied for that. And one of the people on the panel who actually has an entire skincare makeup range about brown skin has said, this is not a real problem. I was bullied for having dark skin. I'm successful. You can't let these things bog you down. They are not letting them bog you down. You've asked them to their face, भाई तुम लोग की problem क्या है? उन्होंने बताया है, and then suddenly you're like, ew, I hate this. How? And then the girl started crying, and I felt so bad because I was like, what the fuck? Or like, what the fuck?
If anybody wants to go on a reality show,
don't do it.
I mean, do it, don't do it, but just know that any situation in life, anywhere where you're in a power dynamic, power doesn't look black and white. Consent does not look black and white. Consent is always gray when there's a power dynamic in play, whether it's in an office, on a reality show, in a relationship, it doesn't fucking matter. You know, just know where you stand, on who you are, and don't sell yourself for free for somebody else's gain.
Like, literally, the worst thing you can do to yourself is sell your insecurities. Firstly, for your own platform also, I think it's overkill. Like, I remember, so basically they wanted me to talk about my dad's health issues, is the thing they kept saying, like, why aren't you talking about it? Wasn't your life really hard? And I was like, for your fuck all reality show, I'm gonna sit and sell my dad's life. I have to go home to my dad and he'll be like, what's your deal, huh? You want to fucking slap? I was like, I would never do that. Like, that's so fucked up for you to coerce me to talk about that.
And also, when you're in the reality show, you're 2 weeks in, you're really hopped up, you kind of, you've given into what this entire, like, it becomes almost like a cult, right? And the rules are different.
Yeah.
I'm just
in an echo chamber, right?
Yeah. But I'm thinking about the girls who are talking about DV and being like, whatever, you know, things assaulted in their family, who have to go back to their family 2 weeks later. You know, you're putting someone in active, like, harm, potential risk for a show. It's fucked.
Honestly, I feel like I don't know. I feel like there is something morally fucked with talking about these things for benefit. Like, it's not the girls' fault. They were in a weird, vulnerable place where they thought...
It's not the girls' fault.
But to ask someone to do it is putting them in like a... Like, you know, you're not the only victim in this. So then, like, the people who are assaulted with you, the people, like, that are surrounding you have to watch this and be like, oh my God, she has sold our story. For what? For what joy? Like, and I just thought it was like so unfair to the other people involved in it. And obviously, yeah, you're right about the harm thing as well. But I think that is a choice that
I'm saying that even that choice, you think it's a choice.
It's not a
It's
choice,
not
is
a
what you're
choice
saying.
if the context is that you're in a setup for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm not talking about this specific show.
Yeah.
You see it time and time again in any reality show. Some of the reality shows from like the early 2000s are so messed up. Like there's this show called The Swan. I don't know if you know. It's such a fucked up show. The Swan is a transformation show where they take a bunch of women who are, by the way, in their 30s, who are quote unquote ugly
Oh, and they turn them into
swans. Okay, these women have at 30 have been recommended by these doctors to do full facelifts, full blepharoplasties, full fat dissolving within the period of that show.
Jesus.
And then they're paraded like swans, and of course, okay, you can look good in the moment, etc. But to put like going through a surgery like a facelift is an active trauma to your body. It's a heavyweight surgery. You've put yourself through a lot of like trauma through surgery. Then everybody knows that there's upkeep to. If you get filler, there's upkeep to filler. If you get Botox, there's upkeep to Botox.
Who's gonna pay for
who's
that?
going to pay for that? These women are in their 30s. They've got full-on facelifts and they've been left to their own
Let go.
devices. More exploitative than this is this other show. I think it was called like The Truth About Miriam or something. It's a bachelor type show where there's one bachelorette and all these men are kind of vying for her attention. The gag, which did not age well at all, is that the woman was a trans woman and none of the men knew. So on the finale of this entire show was that the woman was going to be like, hey, by the way, I'm trans.
That's the gag?
That's the gag.
Wow.
So I mean, I understand that, and especially in India, everyone loves the underdog story.
Yeah.
And I understand that there is something to like a rags to riches story, but I can't with a straight face watch something so
You
exploitative
see
and
this
feel.
with influencers all the time, and not to say that they don't have these problems and these upbringings, but suddenly you're in a panel discussion and everyone came from nothing.
Yeah.
Like these people, and I'm like, how? Like
It's a big nothingness
yeah.
epidemic right
and
now,
then
right?
it's like, oh shit, I didn't know that this was a and you would be talking to them and it's never come up in like a year of your friendship. Nothing has come up. Suddenly you're on like like everyone's sharing sob stories, so you're like, oh, actually, I had to break my piggy bank, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, where did this come
which
from?
like not to discount anyone's stories, it's just that where did that come from? Oh, do you want to know a musty fact about Supermodel of the
Go
Year
for
though?
it.
So we were shooting in Mud Island. All the girls were held hostage in one house, but obviously the hosts could come and go as they please because they were established. Milind Soman would come in the jetty or whatever, and there would be one spot dada behind him because he used to only wear one chappal, and his chappals were sandy and dirty, so there was just one spot dada cleaning after him. And I thought that was the funniest bit because I was like, that's just his whole job. Like, why won't this guy just change his shoes? And that task that you're talking about was a glossy surface. It was just like, you gotta see the humor in it, while you're getting coerced into these things.
I really love when reality shows try to rectify, like whenever they get a lawsuit strapped on
Yeah.
them the next season, like in Love is Blind. One season
Food.
there's no food, we're not getting fed. Next season they just take, like every shoot begins with what is everyone eating for breakfast, like waffles are being made and
And so in the house, like basically when all the other girls were in the actual task, okay, and the people that auditioned were just sitting because they didn't get through, so they would record it and they would kind of like try to get some drama out of it. So I would just keep calling the show Big Boss. I was like, now that we're in Big Boss, and it was just unusable footage.
The thing is, every time you watch those like piece to cams, right, and everyone's talking about Sakshi, and we all know Sakshi for who she is today, right? So everyone's like, this Sakshi, like not taken it seriously because it shouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah, because I was like, guys, just relax. Like, and it's not that serious.
It's not
like a
serious.
fucking show you're not getting paid for. And then everyone was like, oh, like And I think Masaba told me also at one point, she was like, you're going to do well in life, but this is not your format. And I said, I know.
Yeah.
Like, because if I knew this was the fucking format and if I hadn't been forced to do this, I would never have done it. Right? And then when I called my mom, I cried because I was like, all these people are stupid fucks. Like, everyone here is in like a cult. I don't have access to my phone. I don't want to share a bar of soap with 5 other girls. Fucking sue me. Like, they tried. They tried to sue me for that. We, at one point, I'm not even joking, we had half an hour and they said, why don't you all shower together? It'll
Ew.
be quicker. And I was like, okay, why don't you get the fucking camera crew inside? What the fuck? Like, why would you suggest that? And it was so weird.
There's one job that I do want, and I want to know how you apply for it. Who is the person who picks all the music that plays on Splitsvilla? Because every 5 seconds there's a banger track.
I'm sure it's some underpaid employee. I'll find out for you if you want that job.
I do. I really do. Obviously when I was growing up, roadies was like the
Yeah.
thing. Everybody fantasized about being on roadies, auditioning for roadies. Like
But let's talk about Raghu and Rajiv.
let's talk about Raghu and Rajiv. I think the bullying,
What
too
the
much
fuck?
bullying.
Yeah.
Where they started was they were trying to beat some kind of sense about like whatever values and ethics into people who are coming and being like, oh, I'm a sigma, I'm an alpha,
Yeah.
I don't care about anything. To that little bit of intention, I'm like, okay, but the route to it and where it became, and now Roadies is just a platform where everyone's like heckling abuses at each other,
Yeah.
and like the hosts are fighting with each other, and people are being slapped, and
Someone slapped someone on roadies. But I also feel like every time I watch roadies auditions now, everyone is training for some apocalypse. Because why are you only allowed to participate in roadies if you're doing one-armed pull-ups to cartwheels to somersaults to kissing Raghu's forehead? Like, I'm not understanding why are all these things required.
have you seen the Pakistani version of Roadies?
Podies?
What is it called? Has anybody seen it? It's on YouTube. But the tasks were like, the task was that you had to take a watermelon and break it with your head. And I swear at the beginning, you know, when every roadie's audition round starts with everyone standing next to the barricade, like, mujhe roadie banna hai. And they like beat through the barricade and they come to that middle area. So in the Pakistani roadies, there was too much halla gulla happening. Okay, so the host comes out and he starts telling them off. They're like, yahan pe koi halla nahi hoga. I want everyone to be quiet, and for your first task, I want you all to take this, I think, Mountain Dew, and everyone has to glug it together. So 300
Stop.
people down.
I love it.
Too good.
I had a little Livon with my face on it. Just one.
You did?
I mean, Livon's a good brand if they pay me.
I think over time people have also gotten so savvy to like reality show formats.
Now it's like you can go in more prepared.
Yeah.
You can kind of have a strategy. There are people whose entire job it is to train you for a reality show. Like, I remember Jeremy or Jimmy from Love is Blind trained someone from this season and all of that. Love Island has become like, there's one guy whose entire job it is to
Yeah.
do Love Island training and all of that. So now it's like you can go in with a strategy and you can actually work it out. But I think like the people that actually made it, like Ayushmann Khurrana started from Splitsvilla
Bani.
or Roadies.
Roadies.
Roadies. Ranvijay
Vijay.
started from Roadies.
Bani. Varun
Bani.
Sood.
Varun Sood, my favorite in the whole
Sanjana?
world.
No, Sanjana Ganeshan.
Sanjana, no. Sanjana was like me. She
Okay.
didn't do much on MTV, but in life,
But a bunch of people, I mean, again,
Yeah.
like reality shows were the format before you could be a content creator. Like, who
Yeah.
were these people with big personalities who didn't know what to do with them had finally an outlet to do this, right?
Nithiba Kaul started on
Really?
on Big Boss.
What?
She was one of those like, oh, we'll get normal people, and she was a Google employee and she quit her job and now she was at Cannes last year and she
Insane.
posts with her boyfriend whose face is not visible. So maybe he's a roadie. We don't know. Then the guy who hosted Emotional Atyachar, he went from Big Boss to Emotional Atyachar. So I
It's a
guess what we're
journey.
saying is,
Yeah. There's definitely like, of course, there's definitely potential for your career to explode, and some people are smart about it and are much better at it. Now, being a reality show personality is like a full-time job. Like you're moving from Big Boss to Splitsvilla to
Yeah.
Roadies to Traitors.
Traitors just came out, which also, but I have to say, I have realized I can't do a reality show format. There's this sense of loss of power when you can't do the edit yourself, and you can't, like, you're being watched all the time and all of that, which is something that I'm not
Comfortable
like
with.
whether it's traitors, and I know like people much bigger than me have done it, people much more successful and established than me have done it, and they were okay with it, and it did well for them. But I just can imagine myself again with that. They told them that every time they give Hindi galis, it won't be on the show, and then they just put it. So that's also like, if that had happened to me, not that I give that many cards, but that's like, again, the edit is not in your hands, and I would take it very personally.
Yeah, I think it's really, and a little bit of that we kind of do through the podcast also. When you're speaking to each other, you have context to each other, you know what each other's about. You can be all versions of your personality.
Yeah.
But for the person who's watching like an hour of you a week, you are their canvas to like put whatever personality on.
Yeah.
And reality shows thrive on villains and heroes.
Right.
And you don't even know when you will get edited into a villain, and a lot of people have like this dysphoria and almost disorientation when they see a show. Firstly, a show comes out like a year after you shot it or 2 years after you shot it, so you are in a different state of mind. You have no idea what happened on that show. Suddenly they've turned you into a villain and the entire internet hates you.
Yeah, and it's also very easy to do a villain edit or a good edit based on music, based on expression. Like just any expression you can take and cut paste everywhere. I feel like Love is Blind is notorious for chopping things up like without context.
That's why
and
that's why the glasses on Love is Blind are colored, so that you can't tell when there's a continuity jump in the conversation.
Yeah. No, but it's like the music can really affect anything, and the people that watch reality shows, I understand that it's amazing and everything, it's fun, it's entertaining, but they get so invested in these characters. People are getting hate, people are like once you're a villain on a reality show, it's very difficult, and you could be there and you could be like, I am clearly the victim, and then it comes out and you're like, oh fuck, like what was going on.
But there is like a lot of power to being a villain, because the only thing people like to do in large numbers is to hate watch.
Yeah.
And you will get like all the numbers, you will get all the hate love, you will be like the topic of conversation, but the only thing is that you will have to make peace with the fact that no one likes you. Would you
Which,
live that? Would you like to live like that?
I mean, I feel like I've done that 4 times over.
Yeah.
I've made peace with the fact that no one likes me. But I won't lie, every time it happens, I'm like, no way this got people going so hard. Like, there's absolutely no way, because I'm thinking from like a me perspective. Would I ever go and leave a hate comment on someone I don't like? No. So I'm like, people are really fucking jobless. But I'm like, okay, they don't really know me. Like, I understand editing, and I've realized my family has also become a lot more
Savvy.
chill about, like, if they see someone online and it comes badly, like, they'll be like, it was a bad edit. And I'm like,
Actually,
fuck it
even
up.
my family, they finally understand the concept of edit and being able to control a story. Like when there are actively like weird things said about me, my mom, she's like, oh, that's how much people can make something up. I'm like, yeah. And it's free.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Otherwise, my aunt used to be like, I don't like this person, I don't like that person. Now she'll be like, maybe they were going through something.
So my hot take is that everybody who kind of came into the limelight and then you were like, where did they go? And they're doing their own thing are the smart people.
Yeah.
Because they were like, you know, this is not for
Not
me.
for
I
me.
can't do this dog race. It's too fucked up.
Yeah.
And they're doing their own thing and they're happy. And you know, like, and it's great. It's like, because you really, like, being famous is an endurance match, like beyond the Olympics.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm still thinking about like, would I be where I am if I didn't do the reality show? And the answer is absolutely fucking yes.
Yeah.
So don't, like, I mean, I know people say that, like, oh, take every opportunity you get, but like, if it may be good for the plot, but is it good for the character? I don't know.
There's this really good podcast. It's called Harsh Reality. If you want to, they do deep dives into just how reality shows evolved and adapted and went through the years. That's where you can find out about The Swan also and that other show. There was this fiction show which is many years old, but a really good show. It's called Unreal. I don't know if you've ever seen it,
No.
but it's basically a show that looks at a show like The Bachelor, and it follows all the producers on that kind of show,
Yeah.
and how they exploit people to get storylines out of them, and how each producer is responsible for some contestants and how far each is going to push their
Yeah.
own morals to win.
And I think these producers are wild people. Like, I think it takes a sick amount of sadism to put a human through that. But I like, it's a job, and at the end of the day, at least for like a big boss or something, you're getting paid good money, you're establishing a career in a bigger way. It's got like an audience and everything. But I think not paying people and making them do these things
Is a crime.
is a literal crime.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. And I think it's like, the producer of this show was like a 45-year-old woman. I haven't had the displeasure of meeting her after, but she will get a piece of my mind. I don't even remember her
This
name.
is the piece.
Yeah, bro. If you know who it is, send it to her. I don't know who it is. But she was such a colossal bitch. Like, it takes. Why would you do that? Like, I'm sure she has like younger people in her family my age or whatever, and to like just use you as a pawn to get ahead in like a fucking career. I was like appalled.
Do you think reality show producers are like lawyers who represent criminals?
In what way?
In the way that this is your brief. The brief is like a lawyer is representing a criminal. Their brief is to make sure that the criminal doesn't go to jail.
And ours is to make sure that
Like the brief here is, okay, get the TRP, exploit the person, so you you're like, okay, this is part of my job, and maybe you can go back and sleep at night thinking, oh, this was my job.
You
If
know,
I
I
was a
hope
normal
I
person,
hope
I'd
her
help someone on the street.
I hope every mattress she sleeps on has one spring, thoda teda. Like, I literally, from the bottom of my heart, sometimes will wake up, and there are people who have wronged me on that set, and I'm like, I hope they're just a little bit uncomfortable. I hope the temperature of the room is just not to their liking. Like, just a slight discomfort, but all the time.
Do you get a sorry after?
No, I have run into a few of the hosts, but it's always been like, so one in particular around Bandra, she always sees sushi and she's like, oh my god, then she'll look up and see who it is, and then she'll be like, oh fuck, and she can't shut up about me like I can't shut up about her. But I feel like
It's
I don't-
like Urfi and Apurva.
bro, I swear.
Friendship for one episode, and then it's just down.
Except there was no friendship here, I'll
Okay.
say that. And one time she came to pet sushi, and then I pulled sushi away, and I was like, sushi, no. You gotta have your fun with it, bro. Now we exist in the same industry. Would you be open to having one of them on the podcast to discuss? I wouldn't, but I'm asking you.
Only if you would be. I wouldn't. We have a soft policy that anybody who's wronged either of us, we don't have them on the podcast.
Yeah, that's why we barely have any guests. Huh?
And we can. The only way they can come on the podcast is if the opening statement is, I am so sorry. Yeah.
I'm a horrible human and
You're
I
on.
fucked you over and I will repent this till the day I die is the apology that I
Yeah.
want.
In fact, there was this one episode where everybody gets to call home. And baby Sakshi cried, and I swear I cried at 12:30 at night. I was like, no, if something has made Sakshi cry in
Bro,
public,
it's the pits.
it's the pits. There has been some massive
Bro,
issue
but
there.
my main reason was I kept telling the other contestants not to take it seriously, and they were like, no, we must. So I was like, okay, they're gone. The producers were getting paid to tell you that this is your life now, and you're never going to get out of it, and you have to be here, whatever. So that also, I was like, okay, can't talk to them. Every time I had any FaceTime with any of the hosts or the judges, straight up mean people. Okay, except I think Malaika was nice and Masaba was
Yeah.
decent, but the others were like really not a vibe. Okay, so every time, and those were the ones I had the most FaceTime with. So
Which is so sad because, you know, I grew up watching Ujjwala and like
Yeah.
Madhu Sapre and all of those models,
Yeah.
and they killed it. They changed the scene, they put India on the map. If I was ever in an environment where I was like, okay, they are here and they were supposed to be my mentors, I would hope that they would give me some information that I could really take home. Like, I learned modeling from America's Next Top Model. I
Right.
watched that show like it was like scripture.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, smizing, posing, this, that, and the other. And it really helped me in my career.
but Tyra Banks was also horrible.
Horrible.
Absolutely disgusting.
But
the
at
way
least
she
the show showed you how to do things. I'm
Right.
saying, like, at
Yeah.
least the saving grace was if I was a young model and I was like, okay, how do I make it? I can watch the show and I can come out of it knowing how to pose and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way after this show.
I mean, I feel like also there had been a lot of seasons prior, and I think at that point, like, this was the first time Ujjwala was, I think it was her first season. I don't know if there was a season after that, but I don't think she was there to actually mentor. I think
Oh.
she was just like, do it. Like, and it's like, I wish I knew how, sweetie. Like, you're successful. Why don't you either impart knowledge, or if it's not something that can be taught, maybe don't call yourself a mentor. Like, but even in the previous seasons when it was India's Next Top Model, I remember one girl, but she was fat shamed for being a completely normal sized girl. I think her name was Shri something. I can't remember. And then Malvika Satlani was on India's Next Top Model, and apparently she got a bad edit, and that has kind of cemented her image for some reason.
for life.
Yeah.
She had to move to Dubai. What did you guys do?
But I'm wondering if anyone from like India's Next Top Model or anything has made it.
Lots of people have made it.
Like?
There were a lot of shows. There was Get Gorgeous. There was Kingfisher Calendar. There was one for F1, the girls in the side pit.
I remember Riya Chakrabarti was also on some like 16 and something.
Ria Chakrabarti started in roadies.
No.
Yeah, then
was
she
on
went to
some, like,
that fresh face something
16 and something like but that was also like, I remember one episode was like one girl had like 2 days to lose weight or something. She was just on the fucking treadmill the entire time. Poor girl. If you
Reality
could
show.
lose weight in 2 days.
On your set, like, were there different producers, or was there who were responsible for different girls, or was it one?
So there was there were 2 model coordinators who, quite honestly, the closest experience I've had to being pimped out. Like, not to be insensitive, but that's exactly what it felt. My clothes are falling off as soon as I talk about being
Muscle
pimped.
memory.
Like, okay. Yeah. I mean, they were powerless, and the main model coordinator was this man, and he was like, Karna to padega. Karna to padega. What the fuck do you mean, Karna to padega? And then there were like 4 like camera people who, like, honestly, after a while, I just started touching the camera and pushing it away. I was like, I'm not interested in this. And then there were people who had to, like, when you're doing the piece to camera, there are like 4 people who will like ask you the questions and you have to answer. And that was the worst part, because they would like make you, they would ask you like, oh, how did you feel after this? How did you feel after that? And I was like, how do you think I felt when like grown established people were bullying me, you know? And so I was like that, and I didn't want to do that, okay, because I was like, now I'm eliminated, just give me my phone, I'll fuck off. So then I just gave like whatever answers, and then I left, and my dad sent my driver to pick me up in Mud Island, and then like my driver was shocked when he saw me. He was like, what happened to you? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I went straight from the set and got a haircut. Like, I just needed to get rid of my hair or some shit like that. And then I went to Alfredo's and I ate cake.
You did have one memorable thing that you said in one of your.
Peace to cameras.
You said something like, मलाइका ने मुझे एक दिया, इससे बेटर तो मैं जीरो लेके घर पे ही बैठती.
Yeah. But that's so true, right? Like, yeah.
Fair.
It is what it is.
In closing notes, there are two types of people in this world. One type is Sakshi. No matter how old she is or how young she is, she knows her boundaries. She knows she doesn't want to be exploited, and she actively works towards like celebrating herself. On the other side is me, who's like full marks. I would be exploited. I would sell my story. I was thinking that I would be making art, and I'm being super. I get lost in the honesty. I
Yeah.
hate being inauthentic. But I
Yeah.
don't I don't attach value to my personal story.
Yeah, Naina, every room that she enters in, she's like, how do I make this a great experience for the other people in the room at her own cost? So, like, and it's, yeah, at the end of it, who ends up feeling dirty is you. So, and I have realized that at the end of it, I don't want to feel dirty. So, I'll make everyone's day bad, but not my own.
So if life soft pimps you, just
Fuck it back.
thank you. Subscribe, follow us, leave us a review. We're making big strides. Some cool guests are coming.
Yeah. And we're to here only.
See you next week.
See you. Bye.